Hello everyone, and welcome to How to Calculate with Algor Mortis. So for those who don't know, Algor Mortis is the process of our body cooling after death, and it happens in a very specific way. So in the first 12 hours, our body cools at about 0.78 degrees Celsius per hour. But then after the first 12 hours, from there forward, the body only cools at 0.39 degrees Celsius per hour. It starts to even out and slow down. So we're going to be using this information here to calculate how long a body has been dead based off of the temperature of it. To continue forward, all you will need is a calculator and the knowledge of these equations. Another very important piece of information is to know that our body stays at about 37 degrees Celsius when alive. That's about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit for those who don't know Celsius that well. So let's start with our first problem. How long has the victim been dead if their temperature is 33.1 degrees Celsius when we find them? So to set up our equation, we're going to start with the ending temperature, which is 33.1 degrees Celsius. And what's the number that our body stays at when we're alive? 37 degrees Celsius. So we need to know how much it's lost. And remember, for the first 12 hours, we lose 0.78 degrees Celsius per hour, which I'm going to put x. So we need to solve for x, and this is where our super awesome STEM comes together, where we get to use math, science, technology, and engineering. So to solve this, we need to get x by itself. So we're going to take away the 37 degrees Celsius from both sides. This should cancel out. And you can do it in your head or you can use a calculator. I prefer using a calculator. So 33.1 minus 37 should give you negative 3.9. You want a negative number, so that is great. So I'm going to just put this all together. Negative 3.9 is equal to negative 0.78x. How are we going to get x by itself now? We're going to divide by negative 0.78. This is where our calculator comes in handy, and remember, we want to always have the negatives available. So we've got 3.9, and with this calculator I have to do the negative afterwards. So negative 3.9 divided by 0.78, remember, make it negative, and that gives you 5 even. So 5 hours ago is when they died. Remember, this is only helpful for that equation because this was within the first 12 hours. They were only dead for 5 hours. So what happens if they've been dead for more than 5 hours because they aren't cooling at the same rate the entire time? Well, let's try that out. Let's try another problem. How long has the victim been dead if their body is 21 degrees Celsius? So to start off, we always want to start with our ending temperature is equal to our alive temperature minus the 0.78 x. We're going to do this all again. So we're going to take away 37 from both sides. That cancels out. I like to use my calculator. So 21 minus 37, I get negative 16 to negative 0.78x. Remember, I'm just following how to do this in algebra, so this should be pretty familiar to you. If not, we're practicing. So now we need to get x by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by 0.78. So negative 16 divided by 0.78, make sure it's negative. Ooh, okay, they've been dead for 20.51 hours, according to this, but there's a problem. Remember, they only lose this much temperature per hour for the first 12 hours, so we know that they've been dead for longer than that. So that number that we just got is not correct. So what do we do now? So we know they've been dead for more than 12 hours. So a very important thing that we need to do is find out how much the body cools for 12 hours at 0.78. That's our max that we can get for the first equation. So it's 12 times 0.78, make sure it's negative. They're losing about 9.36, let's make sure you can see it, 9.36 degrees in the first 12 hours. So if they're losing 9.36 degrees, so we start out with our alive temperature minus 9.36, what do we get? So we've got 37 minus 9.36. Their body temperature after 12 hours is going to be about 27.64 degrees Celsius. This number is very important, and that's something I would recommend writing in your notebooks. So now we're going to do the same thing we did before, but this is going to be our new starting temperature. So we're still trying to figure out if they've been dead and they're 21 degrees Celsius, how long. So our new starting temperature is 27.64 minus, and we're not going down at 0.78 degrees per hour. We're now going down at the 0.39 degrees per hour. 0.39 degrees X. So same thing, minus 27.64 on both sides. This cancels out. 21 minus 27.64. That's negative 6.64. Is equal to the 0.39x. And then I'm running out of room down here. You're going to divide by the 0.39, the negative 0.39. And that should give you how long they were cooling at the negative 0.39. So we're going to do 6.64, make sure it's negative, divided by 0.39, make sure it's negative. Whoa, that gives you about 17.02 hours of cooling with this temperature. We are almost done. The last step we need to do is take that 17.02 hours and add the 12 hours from when we were decreasing at the 0.78. So that will give us the full amount of time that this person has been dead. So that is 29.02 hours since they died. The first key thing to know is you're only cooling at 0.78 degrees for the first 12 hours. After that, you're cooling at 0.39 degrees. You are 37 degrees when you are alive or when you first die. And after the first 12 hours, your body is about 27.64 degrees Celsius. Hopefully that helps you with figuring out how to calculate Algor Mortis. If you have any questions, please feel free to watch this again or ask me.